Did Jim Carrey just deliver the ultimate Trump roast? What happens when one of Hollywood's sharpest comedic minds goes head-to-head with a former president known for his thin skin? You get a feud that's more entertaining than any political debate, more dramatic than any Hollywood blockbuster, and messier than Trump's hair in a strong breeze. Jim Carrey has never been one to hold back, and his latest verbal smackdown of Donald Trump is proof that comedy is still one of the most effective ways to cut through political nonsense. But, as expected, Trump didn't take it lying down. Instead, he fired back in a way that only he can, full of exaggerations, grievances, and a healthy dose of victimhood. The question is, did Trump land a decent comeback, or did he just walk straight into another joke at his own expense? Carrey has spent decades making people laugh, twisting his face into impossible expressions and delivering comedic takedowns with sniper-like precision. But when it comes to Donald Trump, Carrey seems to have found his favorite target. His criticisms go beyond the usual orange spray tan and incoherent rants. Carrey paints Trump as the ultimate example of a shameless villain, someone who lacks the moral compass to lead, but insists on being at the center of attention. And if there's one thing we know about Trump, it's that he can dish out the insults, but taking them? That's another story. Trump's response was predictable. He took the bait like a fish that's been waiting its whole life to get hooked. His comeback wasn't so much a defense as it was a classic Trump rant, a barrage of grievances, some classic self-victimization, and of course a few made-up statistics for good measure. If there were an Olympic event for taking jokes personally, Trump would have more gold medals than his fake university ever handed out degrees. And in true Trump fashion, instead of simply addressing Carrey's roast, he turned it into another episode of The World is Against Me, casting himself as the eternal victim of Hollywood elitists, the media, and probably even hairstylists. Carrey, ever the artist, took this entire feud as inspiration, comparing it to his childhood love for drawing cartoons. "It brought me back to my 8-year-old self," he said, relishing the absurdity of it all. And that's the beauty of Carrey's humor. It turns painful realities into something digestible, something that makes us laugh instead of cry. Meanwhile, Trump fumed like a rejected SNL skit, pacing around Mar-a-Lago, workshopping comebacks between bites of overcooked steak. The irony is that for all of Trump's bluster, Carrey's roast hit deeper than just another celebrity poking fun at him. Carrey painted him as the human equivalent of an outdated fax machine, noisy, obsolete, and constantly jamming up the system. And rather than ignoring it like any normal person who can take a joke, Trump did what Trump does best. He made it everyone else's problem. His response, of course, included all his greatest hits, accusing Carrey of being washed up, calling Hollywood elites out of touch, and even throwing in his favorite "some people are saying" line, which in Trump speak translates to "I just made this up, but it sounds good." In Trump's version of events, Carrey isn't just a comedian mocking a politician. He's part of some grand conspiracy against America. Because in Trump's world, every criticism is an attack on democracy itself. And where was Melania in all of this? As usual, nowhere to be seen. But you have to wonder what her reaction was behind closed doors. A well-practiced eye roll, a deep sigh as she mentally calculated how many more years of this circus she has left, or maybe, just maybe, she was secretly enjoying the fact that someone finally said what she's been thinking since day one. Trump's inner circle, meanwhile, probably had a crisis meeting to figure out how to spin this one. Should they accuse Carrey of being a radical socialist? What if they say he's part of the deep state? Or should they just pretend this never happened and hope Fox News doesn't cover it? The possibilities were endless. But the best part? Carrey was probably somewhere grinning ear to ear, knowing he got exactly what he wanted, Trump taking the bait. If there's one thing we've all learned over the years, it's that Trump can never resist firing back. And that's what makes these roasts so effective. It's not just that Carrey made a funny joke. It's that Trump's reaction proves just how thin-skinned he really is. Of course, Trump's meltdown wasn't just about Carrey's jokes. It was about the bigger picture, his need to always be in control, to always have a last word, to never be seen as weak. But here's the reality. Every time he lashes out, he proves Carrey's point even further. The more he fights back, the more ridiculous he looks. Carrey's roast wasn't just about making fun of Trump's hair, his Twitter rants, or his endless golf obsession. It was about exposing the contradictions, the hypocrisy, and the bizarre desperation to be loved by people who wouldn't invite him to their backyard barbecues. It wasn't just comedy, it was social commentary at its finest. Meanwhile, Trump supporters scrambled to make sense of it all. Some tried to dismiss it as another Hollywood attack on their beloved leader. Others struggled to come up with a defense that didn't sound completely absurd. But deep down, even they had to admit, Carrey's jokes stung because they were true. Even Fox News anchors, who usually do their best to spin anything in Trump's favor, seemed to hesitate. How do you defend someone who keeps proving his critics right? How do you spin a meltdown into a victory? It's a challenge even the most dedicated Trump loyalists struggled with. At the end of the day, this feud was never going to be an even match. Carrey is a master of satire. Trump is a master of taking himself too seriously. One of them knows how to craft a joke. The other is the joke. And no amount of angry rants is going to change that. Trump can call Carrey washed up all he wants, but here's the thing. Carrey could disappear for years and still be more relevant than Trump without even trying. His comedy is timeless. His impact on pop culture is undeniable. Meanwhile, Trump's biggest claim to fame is getting booted off social media and losing an election. So what's next? Will Trump fire back again, escalating this into a full-blown war of words? Will Carrey continue to troll him with more biting jokes and artwork? Or will this just be another moment in the never-ending saga of Trump versus Hollywood? One thing's for sure. No matter how hard he tries, Trump will never win in a battle of wits against someone like Jim Carrey. Because at the end of the day, satire always wins. And if Trump keeps taking the bait, Carrey and the rest of us will keep laughing.